At 9:30, TV 1055's Tony Aiello is in Paris, and he was right in the middle of the crowd as the panic broke out and people went running for cover today. He joins us live now. Tony, tell us what happened.
Cindy, I was with our colleague Joe Garuffi, and we had just finished up our shoot at the Place de la République, which is a big public square really in the heart of Paris, a very famous gathering place for Parisians, when all of a sudden people just started running. If it was firecrackers, if it was the backfire of a vehicle driving by, I didn't hear it. All I know is I was talking to an American woman one moment, and the next moment I had grabbed some of the equipment and I was running for the back of the square so that I could join the people who were running into a nearby police station, actually, to seek safety. I really think it speaks to how Paris, a city in mourning, is very much also a city on edge. You know, the use of the suicide belts in the terror attack on Friday night really is something of a game changer. It's so frightening. People walking around with big, bulky jackets, carrying backpacks. You know, we see it every day in New York City. You don't think twice about it. But in the aftermath of an event like that, it's definitely at the forefront of your fears.
Right. Tony, when did you and Joe realize everything was okay?
When we got into the police station, there were local police on the radio, and I kept hearing one man say, rien, 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 and my high school French told me that meant nothing, and he was trying to check to see what was going on, and eventually, after about 4 or 5 minutes, maybe 6, it felt longer, I'll tell you that, people just kind of filtered back out into the square, and then some very odd scenes unfolded. Police gathered around a light post, and they were examining something, and then all of a sudden all the journalists ran over there, and then the police went marching down the street. It was a very, very strange scene. Again, I think it just speaks to people's nerves being on edge here.
What is the overall feeling in the city today? You know, we've heard so many things. We've heard people say, let's get back to normal. We've heard people say we're in such fear. We've heard people say we're going to stand up to it. What are you hearing from people?
Cindy, I heard all of those things. I talked to a woman named Stephanie. She lives here in France with her husband and her little boy, and she said that they cowered at home basically. Friday night, it's all day Saturday, but then today they felt, one, it was a beautiful day in Paris, and Parisians love to be outside with their kids in the parks and strolling the boulevards and sitting at the cafes. They just decided, you know what, we have to take a stand, we have to try to get back to normal. And so she and her husband and her little boy came to the Place de la République, a gathering place where there's a huge memorial to the victims. And she actually told me a very interesting story. Her little boy is 10 months old. He was born the week of the Charlie Hebdo attack back in January. And now here, as he approaches 1-year-old, Paris has gone through an even worse attack. And she said someday she's going to have to explain to him just what that year of 2015, the year that he was born, was like here in the City of Light.
Tony, thank you so much. And I'm glad you and Joe are okay. Tony Aiello live in Paris.